Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. So, if you like my hair, I've never gone natural before, and I think I'm gonna try it. Well, when I say gone natural, like worn my hair out in its natural state. I've never had a perm, so it's always been fairly natural outside of the coloring, but I've never really worn it out, so I'm trying something new. I think I like it today, but we'll see. You'll probably see me back in a ponytail on my next video. But anyways, today's video is going to be about how I achieve my flawless foundation look. So I've had a couple of people ask me, how do I find the right foundation? What are all the ins and outs? So I've decided to make a tutorial about it, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So let's get right into it. So first, let's talk about your skin. I'm not going to do a skincare regimen because that's not what this video is about. But honestly, your makeup is only going to look as good as how healthy your skin looks, because obviously we can use all the concealers and primers and the thickest foundation out there, but if your skin is not healthy, we'll see it. So I just wanted to put in a short little snippet about it. Make sure that you're using a cleanser to wash your face with. Wash your face every day. If you're wearing makeup, wash it twice a day. Use a good moisturizer. So I use the Cetaphil Daily Cleanser. Then I use the Neutrogena moisturizer. I think it's for combination oily skin. And I also use a gem that I found this about maybe 8 months ago. 7, 8 months ago, and I have used it every day to help moisturize my skin. So I have a mixture of dry, oily skin. I'm oily in my T-zone, and then I'm drier in other areas. And I was watching a tutorial one day, and it made a lot of sense. If your skin is dry, it's going to break out more. If your skin is extra oily, it's going to break out more. But the interesting fact is that if your skin doesn't have enough oil in it, even if you are oily, it can cause your skin to break out and not look as healthy. So I found this oil. It's called the Miracle Beauty Oil and Serum, and it's by the Blissful Body Shop, and I got this off Etsy. And what I do is I take about 2 drops of it, just 2, because if you add too much, it'll make your skin extra oily. But I take 2 drops, add it to my moisturizer, and let me tell you, it has really helped my skin not break out as much. I always tend to break out down here and sometimes up here, but mostly down here. And I know that's due to hormones and my diet and other things that go on with life, but honestly, I have hardly had a breakout. It's helped my skin just look more vibrant, and I absolutely love it. So I have it on now. All I have on my face is just my moisturizer mixed with the oil that I got from the Blissful Body Shop. And I've done my eyebrows and my eyes, but in terms of makeup, that is the only thing that's on my face. So I highly recommend you finding a oil to add to your skincare regimen, especially if your skin is really dry. But you might want to try adding an oil to your regimen, even if you have oily skin, maybe using it maybe once a week, twice a week, seeing how it works for you, and just notice the difference of how your skin looks. The more moisturized and buoyant your skin is, the healthier it will look, and also the younger it will look. And everybody's trying to have a younger skin. So that's my snippet on skincare regimen. I can do a skincare tutorial if you'd like me to. Just leave your comments below and we'll get to that. So now let's get into the video. So after you have healthy skin, oh, and also remember to drink water. Water is like a lifesaver. Anywho. So when I'm going to put my foundation on, the first thing that I do is add a primer. Now, I don't have tons of pores and other trouble spots for my skin. So the primers that I use are, I would say, pretty basic. I'm using them more so to make sure that I have created a barrier between my foundation and my skin. And also to help my foundation go on smoother. But if you have a lot of pores, you have a lot of redness and things like that you're trying to conceal, there's tons and tons of primers out there. It's just a matter of you searching for them. But a couple of my favorite primers that I like to use is going to be the e.l.f. Mineral Infused Face Primer. I love this primer because it reminds me of the Smashbox primer, so it has kind of that silicone feeling, and I feel like it does a great job of just creating a very smooth canvas for my foundation. Now, if I want a little more glowiness to my skin, or I should say dewiness to my skin, I like to use the Maybelline Master Prime by Face Studio, and this is to blur. This is the Blur and Illuminate primer. So when you put it on your skin, it just adds like a nice glow to it. There's not any specks of shimmer in it, and I don't even know if you'd be able to see this, but I'm gonna put some on the back of my hand. But it just adds like a nice glow. So if you see it, yeah, you can see it right there. There's no specks of glitter. It's very nice and smooth, so it doesn't have a silicone feeling to it, but it's very nice and smooth. Sometimes I'll even add this to my foundation and mix it together just to create that same look. But those are my two favorite primers that I use. I've tried the Baby Skin Primer by Maybelline, and it's supposed to do a really good job of blurring pores and things like that. And it's pretty, when I say thick, I don't mean thick in terms of like you can feel like you can peel it off your face, but it definitely will fill any pores that you have. So that's another drugstore option for you if you have a lot of pores. Okay, so after I put my primer on, and I guess I should put my primer on since I'm actually doing this. So I'm going to use the e.l.f. Mineral Infused Face Primer since I already have some extra oiliness today. You can kind of see it. I'm shining a bit. So I don't want to add any extra glow. So I like to put my primer on with my hands, and let me put my hair back because it's bothering me. Okay, so I like to put my primer on with my hands simply because I just like it. There's not any reason. I think I do a better job of putting it on with my hands versus using a brush. Okay, so moving on to foundation. So you want to pick a foundation that will be great for your skin in terms of your skin texture and also your skin color. So tips on finding a foundation that will match and work for you. If you are oily, then obviously you don't want to use a foundation that is oily, you know, that will make you have more oil or make you look like you have more oil in your face, or on your face, I should say. If your skin is more dry, then you want to find a foundation that is going to have a little bit more moisture to it. Now, an easy way to kind of doctor up a foundation that you have, let's say you're dry and you have a foundation that is a bit drying for you, you can always pop some oil into it. And it doesn't have to be this oil. This is just the oil that I use. So if I have a foundation that I feel is a little drying, I'll just add a couple drops of it, mix it together in my foundation, and there you go. You've made your foundation a little more moisturizing. Okay, so moving on to how to match your foundation with your skin. So most people tend to think I need to match my foundation to actually match the color of my face. And that is not always true, because if your face is a different color than your neck, then if you get your foundation to match your face, you'll still have two different colors. So you actually want to get your foundation to match this area here. And that way, when a person looks at you when your makeup is done, you look very much unified from the top of your head to your neck. Pretty interesting, but it works. Now, for me, my neck and my face are pretty much the same color. So I don't have too much of an issue finding foundations that I need to match with my neck. But if you notice there's a significant difference between your neck and your face, especially if you tan, because your face tends to tan a lot slower than your neck area and like your arms and things like that, make sure that the foundation matches your neck. It'll look funny going on your face because as you're putting it on your face, you'll be like, oh my gosh, it's so much darker. But when you're done, you'll realize it looks unified and it looks much better than getting a foundation that matches your face and the color of it is different from your neck. That's pretty much it. Now, if you're looking for foundations in the drugstore, I highly recommend you going to places that you can return the product, because obviously if you're going to the drugstore, you're not able to sample out the foundation there. So typically when I'm doing it myself, I will take the foundation, like I'll use this one. I'll take the foundation and kind of hold it up to me to see, does this look like it sort of matches me? And then if I get home and it doesn't, I can take it back without wasting money because I found a foundation that didn't look too right. My favorite place to go and look for foundations is Sephora. Sephora is my candy land. Like, I get in there and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. But anywho, the reason why I love Sephora is because you can try out any and every product there in the store. And that way you don't have to worry about going through the hassle of buying a product that you might like, you might not like, getting it home, trying it, I don't like it, now I have to take it back. You can try it there, and they also have a skin matching system where they will recommend foundations that actually will work best for your skin, especially for your skin type and your skin complexion. Now, I'll admit it's pretty good. Like, it's pretty dead on. In some cases, it might, when I say it may not match you perfectly, it may not be a total win, but it'll at least give you an idea of what foundations work for you, and then also what complexion works well for you as well, and at least give you something to start with, especially if you're not comfortable with going into a store and just looking for different foundations yourself. So I always recommend going to Sephora for trying out pretty much any product, but especially if you're trying to find a good foundation that works for you and your skin type. Like, is it oily? Is it combination? Is it dry? So on and so on. So once you found the foundation that you like, putting it on is going to be your next attempt at making it flawless. And what I mean by putting it on is using the right tool. Now, some people like to use their hands. That's not me. I feel like, no, my hands are going to make it streaky. So I am a brush girl. I am a firm believer in using brushes. Some people also like to use a beauty blender. But I don't know. A beauty blender is not for me in the terms of, I just don't like spending that much time putting my foundation on. I like for it to look buffed out and smooth and flawless without me putting in a whole bunch of work. So a couple of my favorite brushes that I will use, of course, I have the Morphe M439 foundation brush. This brush is by far my favorite foundation brush, simply because the density of the brush does a great job in buffing out my foundation without me having to put in a lot of work and also taking a lot of time. So, and it just feels really good, and it's really inexpensive. I think it was like $13, $14 off of the website, and it's just my favorite. The other one that I actually loved before I found the Morphe one is the Sigma Flat Kabuki brush. It's the F80 or F80 brush, and I love this brush as well. Like, sometimes if my Morphe brushes are too dirty, I'll opt for this one. It's a kabuki top, so it's flat at the top, but the bristles are pretty dense as well. And also the top of the bristles are synthetic, so it's not going to soak up a ton of your foundation and you end up wasting product. But it does a very good job as well of buffing out the foundation and making it look very smooth. The third brush that I have used and that I like to use is it's another Morphe brush. It's the Morphe S94 brush. Same kabuki top as well, and it works very much the same as the Sigma brush. It does a very good job of buffing out the foundation. So let's put on some foundation. I'm going to use my Morphe M439 brush, and I'm also going to use my Maybelline Fit Me foundation. This is going to be the matte and poreless one. So I really like matte foundations. I don't really opt for dewy foundations too much, just because I don't want my skin to look extremely oily in this T-zone area. If I want to have a more luminous look or more of a glowy look, then I'll either add some oil to my foundation, or I'll just add a more luminous primer. But I opt for more matte foundations or matte looking foundations. A couple of other foundations that I really love that I'll just highlight to you are the L'Oreal Infallible foundation. This is by far my favorite foundation, and I use the color 110. And this is a demi matte foundation. So demi matte meaning that it's not completely matte, but it's also not completely oily. I also love the Milani Conceal Plus Perfect 2-in-1 foundation and concealer. This is awesome because it acts as a concealer and foundation all in one. And it also provides really good coverage. And this is in the color Tan 09. I love the Clinique Stay Matte Oil-Free Makeup. This is in the color 20 Deep Neutral. And I love this foundation because it actually, I feel, matches my skin to a T. Like, to a T. So if I want to go for a more natural look, to almost look like I don't have foundation on, but of course I have it on, I typically go with this one. And it's not expensive at all for it to be a more higher end brand. I think this was like $20 some. Now, if I don't want to wear foundation, but I still want to have something on my face, I love a tinted moisturizer. And so this is going to be the Bare Minerals Complexion Rescue Tinted Hydrating Gel Cream, or a tinted moisturizer. This is in the color Spice 08. And it's a tinted moisturizer, so it's a moisturizer with a bit of color, a tint of color. So I love this on days where I don't want to look glammed up, but I actually want to look like I put myself together. It's very thin, very lightweight, and when I say this, a tinted moisturizer could be perfect for people who are not used to wearing makeup at all, younger people, or like I said, if you want to go out, but for instance, if I'm taking my kids to a children's birthday party, no need to show up looking glam, but also no need to show up looking bare. So I'll go for this. So those are just a couple of options of foundations that I use that I really love and that work well for me and my skin type. So I'm going to use the Fit Me Maybelline Matte and Poreless Foundation for this tutorial, just because I haven't used it in a while. And what I like to do is I will actually put the product directly onto my brush, but I'll just put a little bit on it. So some people like to put it on their hand, and that way they can portion out how much they want to use. Some people like to actually pat it on their face. However you choose to get the foundation on your face, it's up to you. But I will, I don't just like a lot of crap on my hands. I don't know why. I've always been that way. Like when I go to swatch stuff, I'm like, ugh. So I don't use my hands if I don't have to. So I put just a little bit on my brush, and then I will stipple it, pounce it around my face to get the foundation all over my face. So I do this, and as I'm stippling it on my face, I'm pressing it into my skin as well. And I like to do this so it can start the blending process. And then that way when I go to blend it out, I have less work to do. So if you're using a kabuki brush or a foundation brush like this, you want to use circular motions. That's going to help buff out the foundation very nicely and work to give you that flawless look. Since my eyebrows are already done, I'm not going to go over my eyebrows, but if I were doing this without my eyebrows done, I would take the foundation over my eyebrows. And I just learned this tip recently. Doing that will actually help the powder or whatever you use to fill in your brows adhere a little bit better. So there's no problem in putting the foundation over your eyebrows. And then of course you want to drag your foundation down your neck a little bit, and that helps to eliminate that line that you see sometimes when people put their foundation on and don't blend it well. Okay. And we're done. So I love this foundation simply because it gives my face a nice finish. I don't feel like I look extremely oily, but I also don't look so dry and cracked out, you know, that it causes the look of the foundation to look bad. Now, when I put my foundation on, I always set it with a powder so that my foundation can actually stay as long as possible. Even with foundations that say that they last all day, like the L'Oreal Infallible, this one is supposed to last 24 hours. I still set it just because I feel like the more I can help my foundation set, the better it will look. And also the better it will look for a longer period of time. So the two setting powders that I will use are going to be the Maybelline Fit Me Matte and Poreless Setting Powder. This is actually my favorite simply because I love how fine the powder is, and it also is the same complexion as this foundation if I'm using it. So I just think they both work well together. I mean, they were both made by the same company, and they're also that Fit Me brand, so they're going to work well together. But I also like this powder because it works well with any foundation that I've used. Another setting powder that I use is going to be the NYC Smooth Skin Loose Face Powder, and this is going to be the translucent color. This is supposed to be a dupe for the Laura Mercier Translucent Setting Powder, and I find that it is. I've actually used the Laura Mercier Setting Powder before, and I really liked it, but at the time I don't know, I just didn't really use it a lot. But I really love this one because I think it is a really good dupe for it, and also I think it's a maximum of $5 compared to spending $39 on the higher end brand. So I'll use this one today. Another reason why I like this NYC powder is because it doesn't create a white cast when I am putting it on my face. Some setting powders will create a white cast, and what I mean by that is if you take a picture, especially with the flash on, you'll see like that white shadow on a person's face. A lot of HD setting powders do that, so I definitely shy away from them because I just don't want to do that. Now, the only thing about the NYC setting powder that I don't like is that it's very messy. So even though there's pores there, I mean, it's still going to get everywhere. So I will take my Kabuki powder brush. This is by e.l.f. This is my favorite setting powder. I mean, this is my favorite powder brush to set my foundation with. And I'll just tap it in there and then tap off the excess. And then I will just kind of stipple it around my face to get the product on my face. And then set my foundation. Now, I don't put a lot of setting powder in this V area here because that's where I'm going to add my concealer. And so I just don't do it just yet, especially since my concealer is liquid. You always want to put liquid on top of liquid. You don't want to put liquid, powder, then liquid, because if you put a liquid on top of a powder, it can cause the liquid to cake up, and we definitely don't want to do that. So I will refrain from putting any powder in this area so that my concealer won't cake up because I've already put powder over it. And that is it. And so as you can see, this translucent powder doesn't create a white shadow. You want to make sure you do blend it in well, especially if you have darker skin. So if you notice it, but when I first put the translucent powder on, you could see a little bit of the powder, the lightness of it on my skin complexion. So make sure you buff it in really well. And that's it. I'm not going to add any like blush or anything like that because that's not what this tutorial is about. But as you can see, my foundation looks very flawless. It looks very nice. It's not cakey or anything like that. But it does give my face a nice finish. Now, if you're someone that likes a more full coverage foundation, you can definitely build up the foundation that I used in this video, which is the Maybelline Fit Me one, or you can opt for buying a more full coverage foundation. Either way, you still want to apply it the same way. And just a tip for more full coverage foundations, you definitely want to start off with a smaller amount and then build it up, because some of the full coverage foundations are so full coverage, if you use too much, then it's almost impossible to blend them out, and then you've kind of created a mess on your face. So just make sure that if you're using more of a full coverage foundation, you start off with a small amount and build it up. Or you can do like I do. I tend to buy foundations that offer about a medium coverage, and then if I want more coverage, I'll just build it up, because you can definitely easily do that. So that's it. I really hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. Please give me a thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And if you have already subscribed to my channel, thank you so much. And thank you so much for watching. If you have any comments or questions or just suggestions for future videos, definitely leave those in the in the comment section below. And until next time, I will see you later.